All right, there we are. All right. Excuse me, everybody. It's been a while since I've done this. I'm on vacation. That's what I'm doing. Hi, everybody. It's me, Pugs Moran, live, unexpected and unscheduled from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios here in the beautiful E-Gallery in Dallas's fantastic design district. Now, hold on. Let me see. I don't think I got everything up going right. Let's see. Hello. Let me just see if I got the chat working right. There we go. Boom. All right. Now I know. I haven't been doing rants the last couple of days. Took 4 of 5 days off last week. It was going to take the whole week off this week. Just really sort of calibrating what it is that we're doing. But I was here in the studio. I'm in the studio every day working on Did He or Didn't He? That's right. That's now taking hours upon hours of reading live court blogs. Did he or didn't he at radiomisfits.com is my daily breakdown of everything that's happening in the Sean Diddy Combs trial there occurring in a federal courthouse in Manhattan. And if you've been listening to that, that's pretty much the reason why I'm putting so much into that. I swear to God, I can't do a rant on hot topics like I do normally when I'm just, for an hour, I'm just screaming about this absurd prosecution of Sean Diddy Combs. That's right. Here we are, 25 days in. It is an absurd prosecution. There are probably half a dozen legitimate reasons to put this man in prison for like 2 or 3 years. But no, they're going for like life in prison, and they aren't coming anywhere close to proving that he deserves life in prison. So you can find out what happened today. Today was a very big day. The jury watched porn. The jury watched straight up porn today. Honestly, seconds before I just signed on here to do the rant, seconds before, I was just going through all the latest in the Diddy trial. They watched porn today. They showed clips from freak-offs, which, again, I feel if you're not following Diddy or Didn't He every day on radiomisfits.com, if you're not following it, then you probably have no idea what freak-offs are, because the average person has no idea what Diddy was getting into. The average person thinks that Diddy was throwing these massive orgies with Hollywood people, and J-Lo's there, and Jason Bateman, and, just everybody. Balky from Perfect Strangers is like railing Paula Abdul in the corner. No, these were extraordinarily private, extraordinarily small affairs. It was Diddy, a chick, and an escort every time. That's what freak-offs were. So, I know everybody's like, no, Justin Bieber wasn't fun. You shut up. God, the internet is so stupid. If there was even a lick of truth to any of that nonsense, you don't think this prosecution would have been including that stuff? I'll give you another thing about the Diddy trial that is the most shocking to me as we find ourselves 4 weeks in. I thought there was going to be a bunch of gay stuff. There is like no gay stuff. Like, do you remember that was the thing? Diddy's gay. That's what it is. These freak-offs. He's gay. No, he's not. No, he's not. There is not. He's not gay. Now, he's a cock. We've established that. He likes to watch, gigantic sex horses plow his girlfriends. He likes that, but he ain't gay. I mean, okay, he also engages in some weird fetish stuff with body fluid play, which is, it's weird, but it's not technically gay, okay? So this idea that Diddy's like having sex with all these other people and we're going to find all this out in court, we ain't finding it out. The prosecution is going to rest tomorrow. Prosecution's going to end their case, their presentation, and zero, like, oh, he's also doing guys. So just, we can stop that. Actually, these freak-offs were really kind of low-key, but today the jury got to see the videos from a couple of freak-offs, one featuring Cassie and one featuring Jane. Jane, who, by the way, oh my God, if you were listening last night, every Monday night, we're trying to do panel shows on Diddy or Didn't He. So last night was a panel show with James Parker from WBAP here in Dallas and Headcrack from the nationally syndicated nightly TV show Dish Nation. Crack told me who Jane was. Now Jane is one of Diddy's freak-off stars. We've met 2 freak-off stars. We've met Cassie Ventura. She's the girl we saw get beat up in the hotel on video. And then after Cassie and Diddy broke up, then we had Jane. Now, Jane was on the stand for 6 days, and she was supposedly a weapon for the prosecution, but she turned out to be nothing but good for the defense. Because after all of this, Jane's on the stand going, I still like Diddy. Diddy's cool. And the prosecution's over there going, but he kidnapped and mind controlled you, and you were beaten by him. And she's like, yeah, I love him. He's awesome. So I don't know. Jane was a curiosity to me. And because she's testifying with immunity and under an anonymous name, Jane, as in Jane Doe, because of that, we don't know who she is. We haven't seen her. Headcrack told me who she is. I now know what Jane looks like. And guess what? Jane is hotter than Cassie. Did you think that was possible? I didn't. Jane is hotter than Cassie. Anyway, that's what's going on there. The jury got to watch porn today. Porn of Cassie and Jane performing in freak-offs for Diddy's amusement. All right, all of that tonight. As soon as I finish this, then I'm going to record Diddy or Didn't He on radiomisfits.com. Let's say hi to the chat room. We got Jeff here. Hi, Jeff. We got Mikey D. We got April. April is the reason that I'm doing a show. Got to be honest. You can thank April. There you go. Because, guys, I will be doing shows again. I just need a break. It's been so stressful. Yet this was such a bad pledge month. I'm just like, we got to do, it was just awful. I had to borrow money. It was, ugh. So I needed a break. I needed some time off. But I love doing this. And so from time to time, I will do it. I was not expected to do a show today. I will not be doing a show tomorrow because I do have plans tomorrow. It's summer, summer. We've got summer plans. So I do have plans tomorrow. However, Thursday, I expect probably do a little show. Probably pop on with a little half show, maybe. And then Friday, I'll do a show too. Don't know about Mondays. Mondays are going to be rough for the next couple of weeks. But, we'll do it. All right. So the reason that I'm doing a show is because April posted something on Twitter or something. I don't know where it was, but I saw it and it said something like, I need my topics, because that's right. Even if I'm not doing a show, we are still doing trivia tonight at the Back Nine trivia every Tuesday night with me, Pugs Moran. I do a unique brand of trivia. And by that, I mean, I actually write the questions. I actually think of the questions myself. It's trash trivia every Tuesday night, 7:30 to about 9:30, 10 o'clock. Every Tuesday night there at the Back Nine, 4060 Beltline Road. Come one, come all. Tell me why I should be doing these shows. Huh? How about that? Yeah, you never came out? Maybe you're mad. Maybe you're like, hey, he doesn't do shows anymore. Come on out and go, hey, do a show. Maybe I'll do a show for you. I will do a rant for every rant listener that comes out. All right, who's picking up Thursday? I already said I was doing Thursday. Can't be this desperate. Anyway, the reason that I wanted to do a rant today as I was sitting here, getting ready for the court even end. I think court is ending now. The reason I wanted to do a rant is because, man, could I have taken a vacation at a worse time? I mean, there's just so much shit going on. There's so much shit going on that I have opinions. I got hot takes that I want to share. And quite frankly, CeeLo, my dog, is the only one that's been hearing them. My kid heard him. I had my kid over the weekend. He heard him. Hey, you want to know how cool my kid is? My kid is so cool. All right, so all right, I'm a dad. I'm allowed to say that, all right? Roll your eyes, shrug your shoulders, whatever. I'm sure your kid's cool too, but I think my kid's pretty cool. My kid has a Spotify playlist that's all like Sly Stone, Curtis Mayfield, Bobby Womack, the Gap Band, Cameo. He's got the coolest 70s funk playlist on Spotify. And what's so cool about it is that he's a 16-year-old hillbilly. Not hillbilly, he's a Texan. He's a 16-year-old Texan who like lives in Plano. And yet he's got this like Serious Jones for like 1970s blaxploitation funk. And I just think that's cool. I think that's cool. He's compiling a list of songs that he will never do at the school talent show. We have this little game whenever he always, all right, I'll tell you how this started. So the song I Don't Like Mondays, by the Boomtown Rats. So he likes the song I Don't Like Mondays by the Boomtown Rats. And then he did a little research in it and he found out what that song's about. And that song is about a school shooting in Cleveland or somewhere outside Cleveland in the late 1970s. And when the girl, I believe it was a girl who did this school shooting, when the girl was asked why she shot her classmates, she said, "I don't like Mondays." And so the Boomtown Rats, of course, wrote a song based on her saying, "I don't like Mondays." So my son's like, "I should do that at a school talent contest." And we're like, "No, that's it. That's one for the list." He's got another one. He memorized all the words to Curtis Mayfield's Pusher Man. If you know the song Pusher Man, he's like, "That's one I can't do at the talent contest." I'm like, "Yeah, there's another one." So I don't like Mondays and Pusher Man. Probably not good for the school talent contest. All right, I don't know. I'm riffing. I haven't been with you guys in a while, so just bear with me. I'm just having some fun. I'm freeballing it. I have a barely skeletalized version of what the rant usually is. I can't promise a full 2 hours. I'll go until I'm done. How's that? April says, "Happy belated Father's Day." Thank you. I had a fun Father's Day. What did I do for Father's Day? What did I get for Father's Day? I forgot what I got for. Oh, this is terrible, isn't it? Hold on. Let me call my kid. Let me see what he got me for Father's Day. If he even answers, he probably won't. All right, let's see. Let me see here. What did I get for Father's Day? Let's check this out. I gave him a quiz. Like I asked him like stuff he does he know me? He did pretty well on the quiz. Hey.
What's up?
Hey, you're live on the stream, so don't swear or say anything bad. Hey, what did you get me for Father's Day?
You ask this every year.
What did you get me for Father's Day? I don't remember.
Nothing.
There you go. Oh yeah, there. I just wanted to make sure you see that. That's
But I mean, you want nothing every year.
That's true. That's true. I tell you, don't give me anything.
Not my fault. You got any more sound effects you can play?
There you go.
All right. Well, is that all I'm needed for? I'm gonna take that as a yes.
No. Actually, he just hung up on me. He just hung up on me. I was gonna ask him if he added any more songs to his playlist. All right, there you go. That's my 16-year-old. He sucks. So yeah, a lot going on in the world, huh? We haven't been talking. Oh, look at this. Mama B is here. Mama B. Sports bras. Oh my God. Sports bras. Shock House guys. I can't do a show tomorrow. Oh, this sucks. Because they're probably like, oh, he took off last week and now he's taking off this week. No, man, please don't. Just we'll be back doing Shock House shows after this week, but I have something tomorrow. That's why I'm taking tomorrow off. It's gonna occupy the whole day. I am so sorry. I just saw CC in the chat room and I'm like, oh fuck. That's right, that obligation. All right. Sorry. But we're gonna be back. We're gonna be back with a new Shock House. Whole new attitude. That's what I'm saying. Mama B's in the chat room. Hi, Mama B. Oh, wait. No, I'm kidding. All right. What do you say we get started here? The show itself runs every day is a stream of consciousness. I just start talking. And boy, I got a lot to talk about today because there has been a lot of stuff going on. Is that my kid? Let me say something. Okay. He just hung up on me. We do that though. It seems bad in a vacuum. Like if you don't understand the context of it, we hang up on each other all the time. Like we just click, like, okay, I'm done. Click. If it's important, they'll call back and we'll answer. But you know. All right. The show runs as a stream of consciousness. It's just me talking about whatever is happening next, right? But because of this, because I have a tendency to go off into the weeds, we break the show down into 4 categories. We talk a little bit in the beginning. First category, history. You know, what happened on this day. Things, on this day in 1926, that kind of thing. Quarter 2 is birthdays. People having birthdays. We just rip on some celebrities. Quarter 3 is deads. Same thing, celebrities, but they're dead. Where'd they go? Heaven or hell? We get to judge. We get to be in judge. We get to be in judge. Don't know what that means. And then quarter 4 is, hot topics and stuff. And there's a lot of hot topics. We're going to talk war. We're going to talk Minnesota crazy people. We're going to talk Antonio Brown. Oh my God, there's so much stuff we got to get into today. So, all right, let's not delay anymore. First and foremost, though, I do need to remind you once again, trash trivia tonight. Trash trivia tonight there, 4060 Beltline Road at the back 9, starting about 7:30. How about them trivia categories? All right, let's do some trivia categories for tonight. Let's see here. Where are we at? I'm only going to be able to give you 7 of 8 categories. Okay, just 7 of 8 categories. Because there's the 5th category. I don't know. I've got some ideas. So I'm so sorry, April. You're not going to get a complete list of categories. All right. Category 1 for tonight's trivia at the back 9, slogans. We did slogans a couple of weeks ago. I think it went over pretty well. So we're going to do more slogans. I will give you the slogan. You tell me the brand. Slogans is category 1 for trivia today. Category 2, current events. I always like to do a current events thing. I like to see what people are paying attention. Current events is category 2 of round 1. Category 3 of round 1. How about one-hit wonders? I'll give you the name of the song. You tell me the one-hit wonder. All right. One-hit wonders is category 3 in round 1. And the end of round 1, category 4 is where in Texas. Okay, here's what I'll do. I will tell you a place. You will tell me where in Texas this place is. There you go. It's all going to be cities or towns or, that kind of thing. All right, that's round 1. Round 2, casting. I love this category, casting. Here's what I do in casting. I give you 3 or 4 members of a cast of a famous film. You tell me what film. I just gave you the cast. You tell me the film. That's round 2, category 1, casting. Round 2, category 2, science. Science. Do, 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 do. Dun, 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 dun. Science. It's self-explanatory. It's science. All right, round 2, category 2. Wait, round 2, category 2? No. Round 2, category 2. Round 2, category 3. I mislabeled it. Oh my God, I might actually have all 4 categories. I mislabeled it. All right, round 2, category 3. I don't know why I did this. I had this. This was just an origin of an idea. And I went, why not? It's a category. It's kind of a fun one, though. Disney. How many Disney dorks are out there? I've got questions about Disney. Theme parks, movies, Walt, Disney. It's category 3 in round 2. Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah, and I still got category 4 open. So I don't know what category 4 is going to be. We'll figure it out. Anyway, all of that will be presented to you as trash trivia tonight with me, Pugs Moran, at the back 9, 4060 Beltline Road in beautiful Addison, Farmers Branch. I don't know. It's Texas. We know that. All right, let's get started. Let's jump into this, huh? April says retired slogans. I don't know. Maybe. What is that? What do you mean retired slogans? Okay, so I guess what you mean is a couple of weeks ago, one of the slogans was "Where's the beef?" And that is, I guess that would be a retired slogan. So yes, if those kinds of things. But also some of these slogans are modern and contemporary. So they can be retired. All right, there you go. April, always making shit complicated. Making me overthink it. Yeah, Barney, I'm here. Barney just showing up now. I'm here. It's a special day. It's a special day. I called my son. You missed that? My God, Barney, where were you? I expect you to be one of the first guys through the door. Watching live footage of the Jerusalem skyline. Just waiting to see if anything interesting happens here. Oh, we'll get into that. We'll talk about all of that. I got opinions. Haven't really been sharing them on Twitter or anything. So, this will be a first for many of you. All right, let's get started. Here we go. It is the Rant. I am Pugs Moran. It is the 17th day of the beautiful month of June, year of our Lord 2025. It's the 168th day of the year. There's 197 days remaining until the end of the year. What do you say we get started with category 1? We call it antecedently on this day. It's really just a look back at history. These are things that happened on this day in history. Antecedently on this day in the year 1673, French explorers Jacques Marquette and Louis Joliet reached the Mississippi River and become the first Europeans to make a detailed account of its course. 1673. Now, Lewis and Marquette, or Joliet and Marquette and Joliet, whatever, however you want to say it, they're not really like Lewis and Clark, right? Like they're not as big. Are they as big as Lewis and Clark? Here's why I asked this question. Because Joliet and Marquette are huge where I'm from. Like where I grew up, that's where they explored. They explored like Michigan and Chicago and, the Mississippi River and all that shit. So, and I grew up on the south side of Chicago. And of course, we've got Joliet, Illinois, which is named after him. We've got Marquette, Marquette University is just right up there, over the border in Milwaukee. Anyway, they're big in that area, but I don't know. Are they like super famous? Because quite frankly, discovering the Mississippi River feels like somebody was going to do that anyway, right? And also, if we're being honest, they ain't discovered shit. There have been centuries, millennial of people. The pre-Columbian people were already sailing up and down the Mississippi River. So, all right, that was on this day. Marquette and Joliet, we give them credit. Give them credit for discovering something that was... Antecedently on this day in 1885, the Statue of Liberty arrives in New York Harbor. New York Harbor, Statue of Liberty. Came in pieces. And from what I understood, it was in crates and they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't know where they were going to put it. Like, it's like, all right, basically France giving us the Statue of Liberty would be like giving somebody a horse as a housewarming gift, right? They're like, well, you don't give somebody a horse. You don't give... we weren't ready for the Statue of Liberty when they dropped it there on our doorstep. We're like, what are we going to do? Apparently it sat in pieces for years and years. All right. Anyway, today was the day they gave us the worst gift ever. That turned out to be pretty cool. It's a cool gift. Don't get me wrong. It's great now, but at the time they were like, oh fuck, what are we going to do with this? They couldn't just send us cheese. Oh my God. How much is it going to cost for us to store this gift? What? Antecedently on this day in 1971, U.S. President Richard Nixon, in a televised press conference called Drug Abuse, America's Public Enemy #1, starting the war on drugs. Yeah, there you go. How did that work? Took the wrong way, right? See, because the approach to the drug problem, and there is a drug problem in this country, but the approach was the big, dumb, stupid, do what I say approach. That's how they approached it. It was demonizing drugs, and it was demonizing people who did drugs. It wasn't an intellectual response to a real problem, a problem that has more to do with social standing and your mental health to begin with. No, it was just say no to drugs. It's like say no to sex. Yeah, tell a horny 15-year-old to say no to sex. Fucking idiots. Dumb people with the, well, if I just tell you not to do it, then people won't do it. That's not how humanity works. Richard Nixon and his stupid war on drugs started today. There you go. Dumb fucking, all those people were dumb. All these guys were just dumb. No, because I said so. That's what they were. Every grown-ass man from well, I don't even want to say when it began, but all the way out, this particular generation, they won World War II. You couldn't tell them nothing. Couldn't tell that generation nothing. All right, you beat Hitler. Good job. Antecedently on this day in 1994, following a televised low-speed highway chase, O.J. Simpson is arrested for the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Gold. There goes the chase. The Bronco chase was today. Remember, it was during NBA Finals. Yeah. I remember it was a Thursday night. Was it a Thursday night? I think it was a Thursday night. Can somebody check? Chat room. I don't know. It was like 5 of you. Can somebody check? I believe that happened on a Thursday night. I do know where I was. I was a part of the morning show in Chicago at the time, the Kevin Matthews show, and I had a bar appearance. It was a Miller Lite NBA Finals watching party, right? That's what it was. And I don't remember who the game was. Was it like the Knicks and somebody? I don't even remember who the game was. But I do remember this. I was standing outside on a stage doing like t-shirt giveaways or whatever. Hey, who wants a t-shirt? And everybody's like acting foolish for a t-shirt. You people and what you're willing to do after a couple of beers for a t-shirt, insane. So anyway, I'm on stage and I'm doing t-shirts and I'm with another guy named Doc, who was my co-producer, and Doc and I are doing a little shtick on the stage, and we notice nobody is paying attention to us. Everybody's head is turned and they're all moving towards the TVs. That's how I discovered the O.J. Simpson white Bronco chase. We're like, oh shit, we should go watch this. I don't know what's going on. That was on this day in 1994, the Bronco chase. On this day in 2021, Juneteenth. Still don't know what Juneteenth is, but I'm a white guy. Juneteenth was not a thing that I had ever heard of until I moved to Texas. Juneteenth is not something that has ever been said in, let's just say where I'm from, in the Chicago area. There is no, and I'm from the south side of Chicago. Very much, a lot of black culture is there. Never heard of Juneteenth. Never heard of it. Now it's global. Now it's national. Now everybody's heard of it. But Juneteenth was always like a Southern thing. Anyway, on this day in 2021, Juneteenth becomes a official holiday signed into law by Joe Biden, becomes the first federal holiday established since Martin Luther King Day. Juneteenth is a funny day, though. It is just, the whole holiday just symbolizes what pieces of shit slave owners were. It's just the holiday. Juneteenth is the day that word finally got to, was it Corpus Christi, the slave traders down there in Corpus Christi, that slavery was no longer a thing. Like slavery had no longer been a thing since the Emancipation Proclamation and the end of the Civil War and all. Anyway, slavery wasn't a thing. But nobody told the slaves down there. Nobody told anybody. Hey, if they don't know it's not a thing and they want to keep working for free, let's do this. So Juneteenth was the day, of course, commemorated as the day that word got to them that they were free now. What do you think? You're a slave, and all of a sudden it's like, you wake up in the morning and you're doing your thing. I don't know what you're doing. I imagine you're loading bamboo crates onto something. I don't know what slaves did back then. They're doing their work and all that, and then all of a sudden some guy rides into town and he's in a fancy black suit and all that. What does he do? Does he say, hear ye, and make the announcement? And then what do you do if you're that slave? You think it's a bit, right? You're like, because you don't want to step out of line, because what if it's a bit? I'm just going to go home. And do you want to go home? Like, what do you do? I got to tell you, I stopped doing these rants for like a week. I didn't know what to do. I was like, what am I supposed to do now? You're a slave. You have no education. The only reason you have a place to live for you and your family is because you're a slave. What do you do? Think about the mindset of the slave on the day he was freed. What kind of, you got to be happy, right? You think? I think. Well, I don't know. Are we projecting? I don't know. Anyway, there you go. Juneteenth becomes a law, becomes a national holiday on this day in 2021. Juneteenth. Wasn't that fun? Wasn't that fun listening to a stupid middle-aged white man trying to work his way through what Juneteenth is? Thank you. That's what we do here. I provide you with those kinds of things. Let's see. Let's move on to birthdays. All right. These are people's birthdays. Bonum. They say it's your birthday. Hey, this is fun being back. I got to tell you, this is fun. All right. Birthdays. Born on this day, 1943, Barry Manilow. Oh, Barry Manilow was huge, man. 8-year-old me. It's like Barry Manilow, 8 years old. I'm not saying I was a fan. I'm just saying as an 8-year-old observing the culture around me, Barry Manilow was like, God, he was so huge. Bigger than Elvis. Yeah, I would say that. Absolutely. I can still, to this day, I probably haven't heard a Barry Manilow song in years, right? Like, when's the last time? What radio station would even play a Barry Manilow song? Is there a soft rock station that plays oldies soft rock? I don't know. God, he was huge. All right, happy birthday, Barry Manilow, born on this day in 1943, born on this day in 1945. Art Bell, ladies and gentlemen. Art Bell. You guys remember Art Bell? Art Bell was the shit, man. Art Bell, let me tell you about Art Bell. Okay, so my first job in radio was as an intern / producer trainee for an overnight talk show in Chicago. It was the Chicago Ed Schwartz show, Chicago Eddie. He's an institution, one of the greatest interviewers I've ever had the pleasure. I don't want to say that, but he was an incredible interviewer, man. This guy could get people to open up like nobody. Anyway, so that was my first introduction. And Eddie had been doing this, holding down the nighttime overnight live talk in the middle of the night shift for like 30 years. I mean, an institution by the time that I got there. And I can remember driving home from his show. We were off the air at like 3. I think we were on from 10 to 3, I think. And I remember driving home and there was this new show, this other show that was on late at night because we were the only live local talk show. We were dominant. And there was this new show and it was this guy, Art Bell. And I couldn't tell if it was live. I knew it wasn't local. He was talking about, he was in the desert. And I remember the next day I went in, this must've been like the first day or something, like Art Bell hadn't been on for very long. But I remember the next day I went in and I said to the producer, Mitch was the producer. I said to him, I go, hey, you hear that? You listen to that thing that's on after us on WLS? That guy, he goes, oh, is that the guy with the UFOs? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that guy's pretty great. And we were like, he is pretty great. Anyway, that's how I discovered Art Bell. Because he was who I got to listen to when I was driving home from work. He was my afternoon drive guy at like 4:00 in the morning. He was terrific. Strange man, very bizarre background. Seemed like a good man, seemed like a good dude. I knew someone who worked with him briefly, and he really liked him. He was like, yeah, no, he was a really nice guy. He's a real honest guy. Wasn't a star, didn't act like a star, was kind of eccentric and interested in kooky, crazy stuff, but a fun guy. Went through a lot, man. People came after him. People persecuted him for a lot of the things that he put on his show, a lot of the weird paranormal storylines. And that all played into the myth of Art Bell, because that he became persecuted gave credibility to the things that he was saying. He said some crazy shit. He talked about some insane stuff and drew correlations to the CIA and other global entities. And then all of a sudden, bad shit starts happening. People start to persecute him. And you're like, maybe there is a world order that doesn't want Art Bell. Anyway, he was brilliant. He was terrific at what he did. All right, so now I buried the lead. So now I'm going to tell you what I learned about Art Bell, which is why I have so much respect for him. It was almost all a bit. It was almost all entirely a bit. He knew it. He was playing along with it. He believed that his audience believed it, and he was just having fun with them. He was giving his audience what they wanted, and he was playing it up and all of that. Some of the things he talked about, he was truly interested in. But the entire business model of the Art Bell show was a con. It was a game. It was... And that's what my friend who worked for him said. He said, I always knew that there was some kind of a show business work behind it, but man, he pulled it off so well. Art Bell, I love that guy. Born on this day in 1945. Born on this day in 1947. How about George Clinton? George Clinton, Prime Minister of Funk. George Clinton, born on this day in 1947. Born on this day in 1951, Prime Minister of Cringe. Joe Piscopo. Joe Piscopo. He's so cringy. He was good though, man. Look, Joe Piscopo turned into kind of a cringy character after leaving Saturday Night Live. And the problem with Joe Piscopo is he didn't know how to do what's next after Saturday Night Live. He didn't know how. And there was a problem there because Joe Piscopo very easily could have been, let's talk about what other people did after leaving Saturday Night Live. Joe Piscopo could have been Phil Hartman. Joe Piscopo could have been Will Ferrell. Joe Piscopo could have been, any number of these people. But here's the problem. Joe Piscopo was a breakout, super funny guy on Saturday Night Live at the same time as Eddie Murphy. And there was no oxygen left for anybody else after Eddie Murphy. I will tell you, Joe Piscopo's Frank Sinatra Now, I love Phil Hartman's Frank Sinatra. Phil Hartman's, did Frank Sinatra pretty regularly on Saturday Night Live. Joe Piscopo's is funnier. Joe Piscopo's Frank Sinatra is a little bit more, I don't know, I'm trying to compare the two. It doesn't matter. Let's not get into the weeds on who did a weirder Frank Sinatra, Joe Piscopo or Phil Hartman. But anyway, I think that after Joe Piscopo and Eddie Murphy were good friends, and they both exploded on Saturday Night Live. And then Eddie just exploded a little bit more in movies. Like Eddie became a superstar, and Joe Piscopo were all like, all right, what's happening with Joe? Joe's about to pop. Joe did Johnny Dangerously. Johnny Dangerously is one of the funniest movies of the 1980s. And I don't think people remember or give Johnny Dangerously the credit that it deserves. I love Johnny Dangerously. My son and I have watched Johnny Dangerously a couple of times. We think it's funny. We run around calling people farging ice holes. Look at that farging ice hole. Anyway, Joe Piscopo, born on this day. He couldn't compete with Eddie. I mean, once they both left Saturday Night Live, Eddie went stratospheric superstar, and Joe Piscopo became a weird talk show host in New Jersey. Happy birthday, Joe. You're a funny man. All right, I just spent way too much time talking about Joe Piscopo and where he rates in the history of Saturday Night Live, which, by the way, where does Joe Piscopo rate? All right, if there's let's just say there's been 100 cast members in the history of Saturday Night Live, and I think there's probably been more than that, but okay, let's just say 100. Is Joe Piscopo top 25? I'm going to make an argument that he is. I'm going to make an argument that Joe Piscopo, based on what he did on Saturday Night Live in the time that he was there, is top 25. He was a star. He was one of the stars of that show. Okay, so he's top 25. Born on this day in 1970. Somebody who I think is top 15. If I had to really sit down and make a serious list of all, this guy might be top 10. This is one of my favorite under-the-radar Saturday Night Live performers. Having a birthday today in 1970, he just makes me laugh. He is one of these people that all they need to do is slide onto the screen. Doesn't even have to have a line, but just be present in the scene, and I'm going to start to giggle because I know there's something funny coming. Born on this day in 1970, the incredibly underappreciated and undervalued Will Forte. God, he's funny. He had a show on Fox, Last Man on Earth, which was about him being the last man on Earth, like everybody else dying and him being left all alone on Earth. But then he finds here's funny. This was funny. So he's the last man on Earth. And he finds another chick. Oh, my God, they can restart humanity. He's so excited. He's like, there's somebody else. And it's a chick. And it's Christian Shaw. Right? You know, Christian Shaw. You're picturing Christian Shaw. He's like, oh, my God, we're going to restart humanity. Me, Will Forte, and you, Christian Shaw. And this is going to be great. And then all of a sudden, another chick shows up. And it's January Jones. Do you imagine that? You're like, January Jones, Betty Draper from Mad Men, like one of the most beautiful women ever. And then with all due respect to Christian Shaw, Christian Shaw is not January Jones. That was the premise of Will Forte's Last Man on Earth or something like that. Anyway, it was very funny. It was a terrific show. Fox, you can catch it. It's probably on Hulu. Will Forte, born on this day in 1970. Born on this day in 1980, Venus Williams. Venus Williams is 45 years old. How old is Serena? I mean, I know that Serena is younger than Venus. Here's how I know Serena is younger than Venus. Because Venus Williams burst onto the tennis world, and we were all like, oh, my God, Venus Williams is dominating. And then nobody is better than Venus Williams. And then Serena showed up, and we all forgot about Venus. Serena was so much better than Venus, and Venus was so much better than everybody else. It was crazy. The Williams sisters, Venus Williams, born on this day in 1980. Still haven't seen that movie, the Will Smith movie. You know why I haven't seen it? Because he slapped Chris Rock. That's why. I probably would have seen that movie if he didn't slap Chris Rock. But he slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars and then won an Oscar for that role. I'm like, fuck that. I ain't seen that movie. He's a dick. Born on this day in 1987. Is there anybody hotter in music right now? I don't think so. Kendrick Lamar, American rapper, born on this day in 1987. All right, let's do deads. Here we go, deads. People who died on this day. Let's decide where they went. Did they go to heaven or did they go to hell? First, here's a lady, man. You know how I always say, so right around the time that electronic thing, and whatever you consider to be electronic media, right? I consider it to be radio, television, and movies, right? The electronic media, where there was only a small group of people who made movies, who ran TV stations, and who ran radio. There's only a small group of people who would choose who got to be famous. All right. The most famous singer in 1950, okay, wasn't the greatest singer in America. It was the one that was closest to the guy who decides who gets to sing on TV. That's what we got. So there are a whole bunch of celebrities from this period of time where I'm like, yeah, they wouldn't have made it in the ultra competitive Hollywood of today. Not a chance. So here's another one. Here's a chick dead on this day in what year? I want to make sure I know what year. All right. Dead on this day in 1986. Now, this woman is an American icon. This woman is not for you, and certainly not for your parents' generation, and maybe not even for your grandparents' generation, but for your great-grandparents' generation, and for my grandparents' generation, this lady was Madonna, okay? This lady was Gaga. This lady was Taylor Swift, and she had one song. She had one freaking song, and it's a lame song. It's not even a pop song. All right, so I'm going to show you who this lady is. She became famous for reasons that I have no idea. She was just standing near some guy who needed somebody standing in front of a camera to sing. And so she got the call, and then America decided she's an icon. Dead on this day in 1986. Do you guys know who Kate Smith is? Kate Smith. Let's watch her. This is Kate. Now, this is what I'm saying. This lady doesn't deserve to be famous, yet she's iconic because there was only 4 people allowed to be famous back then. Kate Smith. She sang God Bless America. That's not a pop song. It was. It was a pop song that was on the radio. She was like, God bless. Let's watch this.
Presenting to you the star of our program, Miss Kate Smith.
Hello, everybody. It is my happy privilege to introduce a new song, God Bless America.
Here we go. I mean, she's hot, right? And you can see why.
While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful.
I don't know this part of the song.
So fair.
Let's get to what we know. Here we go. Let's fast forward.
Stand beside her and guide her.
All right, I don't know what I'm looking at there. But there you have it. Kate Smith. She became super famous in this country. Super famous because of that song. I mean, I know that song, not because I've ever heard that song in a movie or in a commercial. I know that song because as a child, I was forced to learn it in public school. Right? We were all forced to learn these like jingoistic propaganda bullshit songs. Just like in American schools, we are forced to say the Pledge of Allegiance to a flag every day. That's not exactly, I think, what the founding fathers had in mind, but, you know, we do it anyway. But no, we're not trying to brainwash our kids from an early age. Kate Smith, where do we put her? She didn't do anything wrong. I'm a patriot. It's a good American song. We'll put her in heaven. Kate Smith. A lot of people are like, that's a great song. I love this. They fill a lot of people with pride and all that. I'm just saying, I think if we'd have looked harder, we could have found somebody better to do that song. That's all I'm saying. I don't think she's a good singer either. Maybe for the time, but dead on this day in 1986, Kate Smith, we're putting her in heaven. Dead on this day in 2012, Here's a complicated one. We'll talk a little bit about this because there's a whole bunch of shit about this guy that people don't realize. There's a whole bunch of stuff about this guy that we all think. And when I say we all, I mean, middle-aged white guys. I'm a 50-something white guy who was in his 20s when this happened. So, and there was all kinds of bullshit. And that's now 30-something years later. And I'm still walking around with all this bullshit that I think is true. I'm going to tell you what's true and what's not true, because it was on this day in 2012 that Rodney King died. Rodney King, American victim of police brutality, born in 1965, it says right here. So what are some of the things about Rodney King that especially white guys like me think is true but isn't? Okay, first and foremost, he was fucked up on PCP and drugs, and that's why he was driving like 130 miles an hour. All wrong. He was barely drunk. His toxicology had nothing. They didn't even find weed in his toxicology. His toxicology at the scene, they took blood, and he was 0 or 0.075. I think it was at the time 0.08 or whatever. Whatever it was, he was technically over the limit. But then like 5 hours later at the hospital, they tested again, and he was under the limit. So the idea that Rodney King was out of control on PCP and that he was, endangering all of it, that's not true. That's not true. Rodney King was on parole for some kind of bullshit. I think it was a check kiting. No, it was a robbery. He robbed somebody with a crowbar. He robbed somebody with a crowbar for $200, and he had gone to prison, and he had gotten out, and he was just back out in the world. And thought he was a little drunk. He wasn't fucked up. He wasn't wasted. They were out watching basketball. Well, yeah, but I'll get that. They were all, right? Hold on. Hold that thought. I'll get to that, because here's something I didn't know either. So they were out watching basketball, and he was driving home, and he got pulled over, and he decided that because he was a little bit drunk, that would be a violation, and he would go back to prison. So he made the decision in the moment that he was going to try and outrun these cops and get away. Okay, bad decision. All right. One of many. I'm guessing that Rodney King made a lot of bad decisions in his life. I mean, we're talking about a guy who robbed a liquor store with a crowbar. So not a great guy, but not on PCP, not completely out of control, not all, none of that stuff is true. Also, craziest fucking thing, he wasn't alone. Do you guys know that there were 2 other people in that car when they beat the fuck out of Rodney King? 2 other dudes? Yeah, there were 2 other dudes. We never hear about them. There were 2 other dudes that also got tuned up. But because Rodney King was on the side where the camera caught everything, he became the dude. He got $3.8 million, which I think he probably could have gotten more, but he took $3.8 million from the city, because he was on the side of the car when he was the driver, the driver's side. But he was on the side of the car that the dude with the 1992 JVC Handycam happened to have been facing, right? So there was a guy on a balcony. This is how we know about Rodney King. Nobody had video cameras back then, but somehow there was a guy on a balcony across the street from where Rodney King got pulled over who had this old-timey JVC, and he filmed it. And Rodney King was on that side, so he filmed him. And Rodney got $3.8 million for being filmed. The other guys who got tuned up, one of them got $38,000 because he wasn't on camera. All right, so that's interesting. What else do we know about Rodney? So he got all this money. So after all this stuff happened, remember he made the speech during the riots. Can't we all just get along? Very good, very nice. He needs more credit for that. It's a very cool and very brave thing. He was mocked. Oh, everybody. Oh, can't we all just? No, that's a fucking cool thing that he did in that moment. That was cool. All right, moving on. So after that, he gets some money. And he just, spends like the next 20 years of his life just being a dude who doesn't have to worry about money. He buys a house, gets married a couple of times, gets divorced a couple of times. Apparently he started drinking. He was a terrible alcoholic. He just spent the second half of his life just drunk all the time. Got numerous DUIs. Probably didn't worry about it. Did not run the cops now because he's got money in the bank and he knows that a lawyer will get him out of it. So he got a bunch of DUIs and he died. He died on this day back in 2012 and went for a swim in his pool. He had been doing cocaine. He woke up in the morning did some cocaine. Apparently he drank a bunch of vodka, because apparently he drank vodka like first thing in the morning. Screwdrivers. I guess that's, breakfast of alcoholics. So he drank a bunch of vodka, did a bunch of cocaine, and then went for a swim. And they think that when he hit the water, that he somehow had a heart attack due to the cocaine. And because he was in the water, anyway, he drowned. He drowned because he was doing coke and got drunk and jumped in a pool. Rodney King's going to hell because, like I said, he seemed like kind of a retard, maybe. Like he made a lot of bad choices, but he's not this like PCP monster, that we were led to believe. He was tuned up in a way that should make any reasonable person disgusted. So that's why I want to make the point. Those cops fucking sucked. Coons and Brasino and all these guys that all got away with it. By the way, that's the other thing I don't think people realize about the cops. The cops who were acquitted in the Simi Valley trial, they moved the trial of the Rodney King police to Simi Valley because they didn't think they could get a fair jury in Los Angeles County. So they moved it out to Simi Valley, and Simi Valley acquitted them. And that was the catalyst for the LA riots. The LA riots began after Simi Valley acquitted the police officers who were seen beating the snot out of Rodney King. Yeah, well, that the feds got him, right? Like people are like, they got away with it. No, they didn't. The feds convicted him. The feds, those were state charges. The feds came next with civil rights violations. Some of those dudes did jail time. 2 of them did jail time. So anyway, there you go. There's a lot of stuff about that story. I'm wondering if there's ever been like a really good documentary about that whole thing. I don't know. Have you guys ever seen because I'd like to see that. Because there's a lot of interesting things about the Rodney King situation that I don't think people realize. He wasn't even drunk. I guess technically it was, but he wasn't like wasted, like way over the limit. And he didn't have any drugs in his system. Toxicology cleared him of everything. Rodney King, he's still going to hell though. There he goes. Rodney King goes to hell. All right, we put Kate Smith in heaven. Kate Smith is dead on this day in 86. We put Rodney King in hell just because of things that he probably did that we don't know about. He wasn't a great guy. Rodney King, we put him in hell. Dead on this day in 2019, also going to hell. Gloria Vanderbilt. Frank Smith says Rodney King was an addict. Lots of these folks are walking around like that who can't put the alcohol down. Yeah, he was an alcoholic. That was his main thing. He was a crazy, out of control alcoholic. All right, let's see. Gloria Vanderbilt died on this day in 2019. She goes to hell. You're not going to get to live. And what was she, like 90? Like she lived a long time. You're not going to get to be 90 years as a Vanderbilt in this era. And then you think I'm going to reward you with heaven? No. Your heaven was your existence here. You're going to work in a coal mine up there in heaven. Hell. Coal mine in hell. You might be wondering, you're like, hey, Pugs, you always put these billionaire class people in hell. Do you ever feel bad about that? Right now, I kind of do. Right now, I kind of feel bad about it. And here's why. Because I remember when Gloria Vanderbilt died, and I remember her son, Anderson Cooper, doing this like really, really beautiful kind of tribute to his mom. And I remember thinking, being a mama's boy myself, I remember thinking, God, respect. I mean, she's still going to hell. Yeah, I'm putting her in hell. Gloria Vanderbilt, she's going to hell. All right, there you go. All right, guys, let's see here. What do we need to do? Should we go into quarter 4? Yeah, let's run through some of the things that I want to talk about. First, I will remind you, because, I'm still doing this. The show runs on your tips. If you can help the show along, please do. You need to make X amount of dollars every month. So as we haven't been doing shows, I will remind you now that this show does run on your tips and your gratuities. So thank you all very much. All right, let's get started. Let's get started on the things we want to talk about. First and foremost, what? Where do we start on all of these things that I want to talk about? I don't know. Is the start of potential World War III? Is that more important than, what's happening in Minnesota? Is that more important? Well, maybe it is. Let's get into it. Okay. So, over the weekend, it's been a crazy week. It has been a crazy So I would say starting on Saturday of last week, so 7, 8, 9, 10, it's been a crazy 10, 11 days. And what do I mean by that? I mean that like every single day since a Saturday 1 week ago, every single day I have been just obsessed with watching live streams on YouTube covering breaking events. It all started with the LA protests. There were like 4 days in a row of me just being glued to all of these different live streams, boots on the ground, webcams that are showing this to people, all of that stuff. Fascinated by it. Then, as that thing is wrapping up, and by the way, just so you know, the LA protests are still going on. It's not like it just ended. It's not like, oh, they're not happening anymore because we're now focusing on Iran and Israel. No, we're just now focusing on Iran and Israel. MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, they're off the protests now because that's an old story after Saturday. And then they, but it's still going on. It's just, that's what the news does. Just because something isn't on your screens doesn't mean it's not happening anymore. The news that we get is curated by individuals with agendas. Everything that you see on CNN, Fox News, or whatever, that's just the news that they decided they wanted you to know about. Okay. So these things aren't stopping. It's just there's so much of it. And which is going to receive the most airtime and which is going to receive precedence over the other. And obviously, for very serious reasons, I think Israel and Iran is now the thing. Okay. Civil unrest here on our streets, people protesting. All right. Very important. But right now, let's see how this thing between Iran and Iraq is going, because this truly has the potential to be something that is life-changing for everybody. World War III. I'm talking about World War III. I'm not saying it's World War III. I'm not saying, oh, here we go with World War III. What I'm saying is this is how World War III starts. This is what we've been trying to avoid for 50 years now. My entire life on this planet, we have been trying to avoid direct war between Israel and one of its neighbors. Go back to 1969 with Egypt and all of that. Okay, that was terrible. That whole situation was bad. Since then, Israel's been nonstop fighting with factions, not nation states. They've been fighting with, Hamas. They've been fighting with Hezbollah. They haven't been actually in a war with another nation state in the region. That's what we've been trying to avoid, because when actual nation states start going to war together, people need to make allegiances and choices. And now all of a sudden, everybody else who's not involved, the other countries around, they all need to decide whose side you're on. And if that fall ever breaks incorrectly, you've got World War III. You've got the Axis and the Allies, right? So we're trying to avoid that. We've got people like Russia and China who are in play now. India, Pakistan, we don't know what they're doing. Remember 2 weeks ago when India and Pakistan were pointing whistles at each other? Okay, don't think that's over just because we moved on and we're not talking about it anymore. That's not over. That's still a thing. And now we've got a legitimate hot war going on between Israel and Iran. Now, for consistency's sake, let me tell you where I stand. Let's go Israel. Let's regime change. Yeah, you're hearing people whispering that now. Netanyahu's actually suggesting that he wants regime change. Shout it, Benji, you con man. He should be in prison. If you do nothing else, wipe the Iranian regime off the fucking map. These people are some of the biggest problems on the globe in the last, since 1980, since the Islamic Revolution. See, I'm very passionate about this because where I grew up, we had a lot of Persians, if you will, a lot of Persian Catholics, a lot of people who fled Iran when the Shah got sick, and then there was the student uprising, and then the rise of the Ayatollahs and all of that, right? Iran used to be really cool. Tehran, Iran. Also, do you know about Tehran, Iran? Like when you hear about Tehran, it's like a black country. It's like a black ops site. We don't really know anything about it. Tehran is the size of New York City, okay? Tehran isn't like Waco, okay? Tehran is the size of New York City. I believe there's 100,000 less people in Tehran than there are in New York City. So when you're talking about the size, that's how big. So that used to be a Western friend of ours. That used to be a symbol of stability in the region for the Western world. Yes, Yes, I see the world through the Western lens. That's who I am. I'm a white American. I like to think I'm a nice guy. I think that just because somebody's different and their culture is different doesn't mean that I have a right to dominate them. But I do happen to believe that this promise, this Jeffersonian promise of what America is supposed to represent to the world, honesty, decency, right, justice, all of these things, all of these bullshit DC comic things that we see, right? That's what we're supposed to be. Well, I still believe that because I still believe that Thomas Jefferson intended for that. I think that when you read the words that those people wrote back then, you know what they intended. They had no idea that we, future generations of Americans, would fall so short of what they had hoped for us. Because it is so easy for us to be cynical now. Because when we see that, when we hear about, truth, justice, the American way, and all of those things that we're supposed to represent around the globe, when we hear those things, we roll our eyes and we get cynical and we talk about colonialism and we talk about all the bad shit that has happened. Well, you can completely lean into that and be like, that's who we are, or you can reject that. And you can say, no, you know what? Every day is a new day and every new action is an opportunity to fulfill Jefferson's promise of what Americanism is supposed to be about. So when I sit here and I tell you that I want to see the Islamic regime there in Tehran be completely paved over, yeah, it's because of my American worldview. Because I still believe that an opportunity for the people, freedom for the people, instead of the oppressive religious regime that has completely changed the trajectory of the Persian people. Iran in 1970 was a cool ass country. Yeah, they still cut people's hands off for stealing. That was weird. But at least the women could drive. They could go to school. There were female politicians. We're talking about the 1970s. This is what the Shah's Iran was. Now, I'm sure that Adam Rain is in the chat room screaming about what the Shah actually was, because we do know what he was. He was a brutal dictator. He's a brutal dictator who took money from the West, but he ran and oversaw a fairly westernized, open democratic society as a dictator. I know it's hot. Look, hey, all I can tell you is that there was a time when if you wanted to go on a vacation to Tehran, Iran, you would, and you would be considered not somebody going to some hellhole in the middle of the desert, but you would be considered somebody who was quite cosmopolitan. Somebody who, ooh, really, Tehran? Tell me about that in 1972. So that's what I would like to see that country get back to, because there is still entire generations of people whose lives were upended in 1980 when they already, imagine being a woman, imagine being like a 25-year-old woman in 1980 who stayed in Iran. Now, most of them didn't, most of them left. One day you're driving, one day you're a doctor, and then the next day they're covering you up in like burlap sacks and telling you that, you can't speak to another man alone, right? I mean, this was a huge change for these people. And we have sat here for 50 years since the Islamic Revolution, basically imprisoned an entire nation of people who heretofore had been our friends, and we just washed our hands of it. We just kind of isolated them. We let them be assholes. We let them fund terror groups all around the world. We let the Islamic regime in Iran speak from the hilltops about how we're the great Satan. We've seen them fund people who have then turned their terroristic ways on us. That's who Iran is. So when I say that I would love Netanyahu to drop a nuke and completely pave that place over, I'm being honest about it. And I think the president yesterday, I love this. Yesterday, the president's like, hey, if I was in Tehran, I'd evacuate, right? Terrible thing for the president to say, unless he's being honest. That is exactly the kind of thing that you would want the leader of the Western world to tell the people of Iran. Hey, just so you know, maybe you should evacuate. That's supposed to mean something. The problem is we got a president that doesn't mean it. We don't know. Like, is he just being a dick, or is he actually telling us something that he knows, that he's giving, the humanity in Iran? He's giving them an opportunity to get the hell away because Benji's about to drop a nuke. Anyway, look at how complicated the world is. Benji is a war criminal for what he's been doing in Gaza. Absolutely a war criminal. He could have stopped that months ago. War criminal. The Israeli military machine should be put on trial for some of the things that they have done in Gaza over the past 2 years. That is undeniable. And at the same time, let's go. Let's take out Iran. All right. You know what? As long as we're doing something that's going to benefit the whole world, taking out Iran will benefit the entire world. It'll benefit the entire region. Look at what the fall of Assad has done. The fall of Assad in Syria, they're not a problem at all anymore. The Israeli jets freely flew over Syria with no issues whatsoever on their way to bombing the nuclear sites in Iran. So, okay. So we got Iraq. Iraq is handled. Iraq is being run by good guys now, right? We can fly our planes over Iraq. No big problems. We got Syria. Syria's on the bench, trying to start a whole new kind of vibe there, allowing planes to fly over. Saudi Arabia loves Trump. So at least for the moment, Saudi Arabia is like our friend. You remove Iran from the mix, and Iran is the big military power, the big, scary, dark military power. You remove Iran from the mix in the Middle East, and it is a new fucking day. Oh, Pugs, you're being so naive, because with fanaticism comes these cells that will pop up, and you'll be fighting guerrilla wars. Okay. Cross that bridge when we get there. Regime change. Let's give it a shot. All right. The big issue going on over there right now, and as far as, what's our role? What are we supposed to do here? Because Trump has been kind of coy, hadn't he? Like yesterday, he's over there. He's at the G7 up there in Canada. And all of the G7, they create a letter, right? An open letter, a condemnation of Iran or whatever. Israel, whatever, a demand for peace or something. I don't know. And Trump refused to sign it. It was like a big deal. And all the other people, he won't fucking sign this? Really? I don't know why he won't sign it. He eventually did sign it. Apparently they changed like one word. And there's a whole funny backstory about that. But whatever, it doesn't matter. So anyway, so he signed it. And then on the plane, he tells the press something about he's not against. We're not involved, but we could be involved. He's being very weird about it, which I don't know if it's good or bad. I don't know if it's good or bad to have a president that I can't read in times like this. Like the programming tells me that in moments like this, the president is supposed to be somebody who I can turn to for solid information, somebody who I can lean on for the truth. But we got a president who might just be, fucking around with people. He goes on Truth Social, if I was in Tehran, I'd evacuate. That's crazy from this president. Like if Obama or Biden or Bush or somebody did that, you think, okay, well, they must know something, and this is an actual warning to the people. But with Trump, you don't know if he's just trolling about nuclear devastation. So, yeah. So let's blow up their ability to make nukes, because I believe that they will. I think that if this goes too far, if this is a tit for tat volley, we volley 100, they volley 100. If this continues for, what are we in the 4th or 5th night now? If this continues at some point, aren't we going to have a desperate Iran? Because Iran, well, I guess it depends on who you talk to about this. Like, who's winning, right? That's what we want to know. Like, who's winning? You read some things and it's like Israel is just crushing them. And then you read other things where it's like Iran's tougher than Israel thought. So that's where you get to the idea that Israel is having difficulty getting to some of the leaders. The Israeli Netanyahu said that he wants to take out Khomeini. That's how you pronounce it, Khomeini. Who's not Ayatollah Khomeini. He's Khomeini. He's a totally different guy who looks exactly the same and like has a last name that has like 25 letters in it, and they're all exactly the same except 2. But yeah, he's a completely different guy. Whatever. So Benji's like, I want to kill that guy. Benji's like, we're going to take that dude out. And then Trump's like, I'm not against it. I wouldn't say we're doing it. It's like he's going, it's wild. It is wild seeing this. So bunker busters, all right? Let's talk about this. So this is the problem. So Benji's trying to get at Khomeini. But when I say Benji, I mean Netanyahu. So Benji's trying to get at Khomeini. And Khomeini is like underground. He's like 70 meters underground in a mountain. So we have these things. And when I say we, I mean the United States of America. We have these bunker busters. They're 30,000 pound bombs that apparently can penetrate, mountainsides. They blow up. We got bombs that can blow up a mountain. I mean, I thought we already had that. I thought we had nukes, but okay, these are more, I guess, specific, deliberate, directable. So the United States has those. Israel doesn't have them, right? Now, we can give them to them. We can give them a couple bunker busters and say, go have at it. But here's the other problem. Israel also doesn't have a warplane that can carry a 30,000 pound bunker buster bomb. They do not have the B-2 Stealth, which is the American-made military plane that is designed to carry the 30,000 pound bunker buster. Here's the other problem. We can't just give them one of our planes because apparently our B-2 stealth bombers can only be flown by American pilots. Like there's like something about them where you can't just jump into one and go like, I know how to fly that, and you can't. I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's like a thing that attaches to your brain stem. I don't know if it's like alien technology or, anyway, point being, we are going to have to give them B-2 stealth bombers and bunker busters. And if we do that, in for a penny, in for a pound, we're involved. Here's the other problem. Trump can't just do that. That is an act of war. That is using American military to go inside another country. We can't just do it without Congress getting involved. So all of a sudden now Congress is going to actually declare war. So now it is the United States and Israel versus Iran. What is that going to do with Russia? Turkey loves Iran. Russia loves Iran. China, I'm not worried about China. I know people go, China's, they're going to do, no. China's got their hands full. China just wants to handle their little side of the world. They're going to figure out Hong Kong, Taiwan. Not good for those people. I would say this is not a good development for you people because we're not going to give a shit what the Chinese do over there for like the next 2 years because we are focused somewhere else entirely. So sorry, Hong Kong, you'll probably fall in the next 7 months. All right. China's not going to get involved. China doesn't need it. China also, China wants to kill us. No, they don't. We're their best market. The reason that China has anything is because Americans buy bullshit Chinese shit. Okay? China has like a love-hate relationship with us. Don't get it twisted. It ain't the same as Russia. It ain't the same as Iran. It ain't the same as North Korea. It ain't the same. Well, I can name a couple other countries, but apparently we're friendly with Turkey now. I don't know when that happened. I don't know when we fucking became friends with that monster state, but we are. B-2 stealth bombers are needed to drop the 30,000 pound bunker buster on deeply buried enrichment facilities. The president cannot do this without Congress declaring an act of war. Here is Benjamin Netanyahu on regime change. He says, when asked by ABC News chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl about reports from ABC News and other outlets that President Donald Trump rejected an Israeli plan to assassinate Iran's supreme leader, concerned that it would escalate the conflict, Netanyahu said, all right, so you understand the question being asked to Netanyahu is, so ABC News has learned that you asked Trump if you could kill the Ayatollah, and Trump said, no, don't do that because it will escalate things. So that's the question. So ABC News is asking Netanyahu about that exchange between him and President Trump. Netanyahu said, it's not going to escalate the conflict. It's going to end the conflict. And then you got Trump. Trump, after having another conversation with Netanyahu, sort of signals regime change when he says while on a flight, Trump told reporters that he wanted something, quote, better than a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. When it comes to the conflict with Israel and Iran, asked what he was looking for in return, specifically, Trump said an end, a real end, not a ceasefire, a real end. Trump said he wanted a complete give up by Iran. Well, that's regime change. That is, I mean, what do you, so you want the Iranian regime to completely change, to give up, because understand that for the last 50 years, they're all about not giving up. They're all about Allah and all of that shit. So the only way that you're going to get a complete end is either the Ayatollah goes, Hey, you know what? I think I'm going to be a club DJ now. I think that this whole religious thing that I've been doing for the last 80 years, I think that, maybe I made a mistake. Trump's right. We're going to completely give up. I'm going to be doing Tuesday nights. I'll also teach Pilates. I'm thinking about I'm going to do a Pilates, maybe some spin class. What the fuck? The only way that these people change the way they're thinking, they are radicalized religious zealots, is if they're gone. So that's what Trump's talking about, regime change. So how do we get to regime change? We get to regime change by America getting involved. I think this is a righteous fight. I'm sorry, I do. I think that if we are going to commit the world's greatest military to anything, that these are the things that we commit the world's greatest military to. And it probably won't begin with bombers. It's going to begin with one of our ships being attacked there in the Straits of Hormuz or whatever. Shipping lanes will be disrupted. The whole world economy will begin to feel it. That will draw other nations in as security forces, which will grow a larger war. The minute the Nimitz gets blown up in the Straits of Hormuz, all of a sudden it's Pearl Harbor. It's a crazy time. This is a real serious situation that's going on over there. I mean, it can end either incredibly badly. It can end incredibly well. Or the third option, and this is also the thing that maybe we hope for, it can also just go away. It could also just stop. And no one will get credit. And no one will be the hero. I'll give you an example. Remember 3 weeks ago? It was India and Pakistan. Oh my God, they were about to go to war. Two nuclear nations who have hated each other forever. They're actually bombing each other's borderlands. Oh, this is the start of World War III. And then it stopped. And then just nothing. They just stopped. Like somebody was the last to bomb the other guy and the other guy didn't respond. And then it's just over. So I guess that's something we can hope for here, huh? But that's not what's going to happen. Because I think that the people who will stop will be Iran. And Iran will stop because they'll be out of weapons. Iran only has X amount of shit. Israel's got a lot more. And they've got access to a lot more if, America decides that they want to actually help. So Iran's gonna slow down. Like they've only got X amount. They don't have like an endless supply of missiles. Do you know how many missiles they've launched, Iran, at Israel in the last couple of days? A lot. So they've only got X amount of missiles. So Iran will stop, and then I believe Israel will probably bring in ground troops. I think that once their ability to fight back with missiles and to strike inside Israel has been stopped, I think then Israel brings in ground troops and they take over Tehran, and that's it. The Ayatollah goes into exile. Suddenly the Ayatollah is staying at like the king of the Congo's house in Africa. And we're like, he's in exile there now. And then he's going to need like a kidney transplant. And like Duke University wants to give the Ayatollah. It's all happening. It's all going to happen. All right. There you go. That's a fun one. Look, I'm Israeli strikes on Iran continue. Will U.S. join the war? That's the headline right now. I am looking at a live shot of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem on my TVs here. Beautiful, beautiful night. What time is it? 12:08 a.m. Israeli time. All right, there you go. Keep you updated on all of that stuff. All right, now let's talk about Vance Bottler. Oh my God. I've learned so much about this guy in the last 24 hours because I'm fascinated by him. This is the dude who murdered a bunch of politicians in Minnesota. He went to these people's door, dressed as a cop, wearing like, well, they're saying dressed as a cop, but really he was dressed as a security guard. And that's a real problem because security guards are all like wrapped in body armor now. They look like cops, security guards. It's insane. And then they don't even have guns most of the time. You look like you're completely ready for war, except the most lethal thing you've got is like a wooden club. Or maybe a stun gun or something. Anyway, so that's what Vance Bottler did. Vance Bottler went to, I don't even know how to say the name right. It doesn't matter. I don't think I need to commit his name to memory. So he goes to this politician lady's house, right? dressed as a cop, 2:00 in the morning. They open the door. Boom, boom. He kills him, gets in a car, drives to another politician's house. Same thing, knocks on the door. They come to the door. Boom, boom. He doesn't kill him. These two, or maybe they are dead now. I don't know. I got to check the update. But they were battling surgeries and all this stuff. So those two didn't die initially. Have to check on them. At this point, local police show up. Local police now show up, right? And this guy, Vance Butler, he's in the driveway. He's just killed these second people. He's got a whole list of other names that he's going to go and, theoretically take care of, except he's found himself now surprised by local police. And he's in a shootout in a driveway. Here's what I don't get. He got away. This guy went to a house in a nice suburb. These are wealthy people, right? So he's at this house, tries to kill the people inside, thinks he killed them, but they're not dead. But anyway, he's leaving the house. Police show up. Police draw their weapons. He starts firing on cops in this driveway in a cul-de-sac or wherever the hell they are. His car, by the way, Vance Butler's car is there in the driveway, a police car. He had this car that kind of looked like a police car. So his car is there in the driveway. He's in a shootout with the cops. He runs into the bushes, heads into the bushes in this neighborhood. And the cops are like, he gets away. How did he get away? He's a 57-year-old man. How did he get away? Who were these cops? They didn't pursue. They didn't have a helicopter up in the air. They didn't cordon off the area immediately. Some dude just started shooting at cops in the middle of a neighborhood, and you didn't have this entire neighborhood pinned up. How did this guy get out? They find him 100-something miles away in rural Minnesota. Now that they caught him because of all these really cool. So here's how they caught him. He got away. Manhunt was going on for a couple of days. There's a farmer, we all have, cameras now, Ring doorbells and all that kind of stuff. So a farmer saw somebody in his field, and the farmer immediately called the police and said, there's somebody crawling around my field. You might want to check this out. So the police, they didn't make themselves known right away. What they did was they sent up, a helicopter over the field with infrared, and then some drones with infrared. And apparently at one point they totally found him with 3 drones. He was laying in the ground and the drone was 2 feet above his head. And he's like, ah, and he apparently said something to the drone. And that's when he decided to crawl out. So they had him surrounded and he crawled out of the field. The drone came with him the whole way. Technology is cool, man. That technology is cool. Heat seek, they could find him in this entire field. They can find him, and they could find coyotes and anything with blood pumping through them, because the heat sensors will find the body. It'll find the warmth of the body. So that's how they got him. Let's see. What does it say here? In a statement, it confirmed that Butler had... that's right. I wanted to mention this. Dallas ties. That's right. Crazy-ass Vance Butler. He's got ties to Dallas. He went to college here. He went to a crazy evangelical Christian college here in Dallas. Vance Butler, in a statement, the school confirmed that Bolter had graduated in 1990 with a degree in practical theology in leadership and pastoral, and said that it was the school. This is what the school is saying. They were aghast and horrified at the news that the alum was a suspect. Here's what they said. This is not who we are, the statement read. We have been training Christian servant leaders for 55 years, and they have been agents of good, not evil. Based on his recent online presence, Butler's views now appear to align with the political far right of Christianity in the United States, said Matthew Taylor, a senior Christian scholar at the Institute for Islamic, Christian, and Jewish Studies. Isn't that a nice place? Look at that, everybody getting along. Its core believes. So he's talking about the type of Christianity that this crazy dude, drank a little too much Kool-Aid and went way over the top with. So they're explaining what this white nationalist Christianity movement believes. It says here, its core believes in demons and satanic evil in the world and a need to, quote, fight back against it. Taylor added that the group disseminates, this is the white Christian group, He added that the group disseminates very extreme rhetoric about abortion, which he said some of its leaders have portrayed as a form of child sacrifice that empowers demons. Yeah, I mean, I know some people who are Christian evangelicals, and they really do seem to believe in the presence of demons and stuff like that. Like I mean, it's you just okay. So you call them demons, and I just call them fucking bad people. I don't think there's all that much. We're not all that divided on it. I'm just not going to believe that he's a demon with horns from hell and all that. No, he's just a piece of shit human. I think that there are some humans who, because of their life experiences, they become a certain way. Some people are, some people are just raised to have bad energy because their parents have bad energy. So some people are just, they turn out bad. And it's like, well, they're a bad person. Well, their dad was bad. Their mom was a bitch. These are just bad people. No, they demons from hell. Jesus, please pray with me for the demon. Oh, shut up. Anyway, hey, whatever gets you through. That's what I say. Sorry, it's an insurance agent. I don't know why I'm getting insurance calls. Well, they're cold calls. Boltler says here, goes on, let's learn more about him. Boltler, quote, seems very much to embrace some of the violent rhetoric and ideas that circulate through those white Christian nationalist spaces. On a now defunct website for Revo Formation, I don't know what that is, Revo Formation. On a now defunct website for Revo Formation, a nonprofit that he founded several years ago, Boltler laid out a basic biography and said that he had been, quote, ordained in 1993. He said he had gone to small Catholic college in Milwaukee, Cardinal Stritch, which is now closed, as well as Christ for the Nations Institute, a Dallas school that is part of the broad non-denominational world of charismatic Christianity. In the bio, he claimed that he made trips overseas to seek out militant Islamists to, quote, tell them that violence wasn't the answer. Christ for the Nations was founded in 1970 by Gordon Lindsay, a prominent preacher in independent charismatic Christianity. The focus of the movement initially was on evangelizing, faith healing, and faith healing. Oh, for fuck's sake. You just lost me. You lost me, you fuckers. Like, you're like, okay, fine, this is all faith and it's about evangelizing and speak. Oh, faith healing. Oh, you think that people can just fix broken bones with their hands. All right. We're done. We're done talking. I can't talk to you anymore. You believe in faith healing. I can't talk to you anymore. Understand that? There is a disconnect here between what we both consider to be logical that we just can't get beyond. We can't. I'm sorry. Go away. Faith healing. Christ for the Nations was founded in 1970. The focus of the movement initially was on evangelizing, faith healing, and experimental worship, such as speaking in tongues. In the last quarter century, however, a segment of this group turned to politics and changing policies, especially around abortion. He was a big anti-abortion guy. He had the directors of all of the Planned Parenthoods on this list, as well as a whole bunch of other politicians. All right, so there you go. So that's what we're learning about this guy. He turns out he was a loser. He had a whole bunch. He's a dreamer, seems like a guy who had big plans and told people big plans. And, he had a security company. If you were to meet him before he did all this, if you were to meet him, he would introduce you as Vance Boltler, managing director of blah, 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 Partisan Security, right? He had a big website where they talked about how they do global security for all of these, important things and all that. No, it's just him. It was just him and the car that he had that looked like a mall cop security car. And he had a little uniform. He wasn't the head of this giant security operation, at least not in real life. What else was he? He was, strangely enough, and this is where we're going to get into where I'm going to ask you to take a walk with me. I'm going to start to get a little bit QAnon, okay? because this is the interesting thing. His buddy Dave Carlson, who he lived with, he lived with this dude. Did you see his buddy Dave Carlson? Oh my God, poor Dave Carlson. Dave Carlson didn't need this. Dave Carlson didn't need Father's Day morning to have cops on his front porch and every freaking news person. Dave Carlson, he's wearing like jorts. First of all, Dave Carlson's like my age. He's probably a good, 100 pounds more than me. Yeah, Dave Carlson's obese. He's a big, giant, like 400-pound guy. He's wearing like a goofy T-shirt and jorts. His hair, he's like, he hasn't bathed yet, you can tell. And all of a sudden, he's talking to all of these people about his friend, Vance Boltler, who just went on a crazy rampage and is now the subject of the largest manhunt in Minnesota history. So he wasn't ready for it. But anyway, he was there, and he was talking about how he had just come back. Vance had just come back from Washington, D.C., where he had met some people about his work in the Congo. Yeah. So all of this weird shit, Christian evangelical, no job. Like he worked for Del Monte on like a food line, like not as like a boss, not a corner office, like a dude who punches a clock. So he worked for Del Monte. He did a couple of security gigs on the side. He had this pretend giant security company that he was the president of. Make it till you fake it. I mean, I get it. I get what he was doing there. But then with all of that stuff going on, then he very legitimately had a dude who he was meeting with in Washington, D.C., who was funding his evangelical / security work in the Congo. Okay, this dude is not some big, he's like, he was involved in a couple of community boards. Like he would get involved at his like local city council, and he'd be like a rabble rouser and all that. And because of that, he was named to a governor's workplace board. Oh, that's the other thing. People are like, yeah, he was like Tim Walz's right-hand guy. Shut the fuck up. It was like, he was appointed. He was one of 300 people appointed to various different boards from local community councils. He's not a friend of the governor. He's not even a Democrat. He's like a crazy. He's not anything. He's a fucking lunatic. So look, all of you people that want to say, oh, he's a Democrat. Oh, he's MAGA. Shut the fuck up. He's a lunatic. We know what he is. Can we all just agree he's a lunatic? So anything that comes after that, his favorite TV show, his favorite band, the shirt he's decided to wear, everything, who he voted for, everything that comes after that isn't relevant. He's fucking nuts, people. Okay? So stop it. But he's got this guy who is funding a very real company. He had a very real company that was doing security, and he spent 3 years in the Congo. That's not cheap. Somebody is paying him to spend. This was a dude who worked on the canning line at Del Monte. Okay? He's not funding himself to go live in the Congo and start a security. No. Something fucking weird about that, man. There is something weird about 3 months ago, this dude going to Washington, D.C. to finalize another trip, a return trip to the Congo. He had been there for 3 years working for this company that he formed called Lion Congo something. Okay. So that's all true. That's all real. All of the nonsense that he was fucking nuts, that he was, he kind of a loser, couldn't hold a job. He had a wife that he was having problems with the family. He was living, both with his wife and family in rural Minnesota, but then also with Dave Carlson, with, crashing with his buddy for like months at a time. This was not a stable individual. And I know, because I am not a stable individual. I know exactly. I know a brother when I see one. And this guy was, kind of just like me. Not really. Here's what I want you all to be. I'm shocked that he was taken alive. Okay. I did not believe that actually, I didn't believe he was going to get caught. I thought he was going to get away. I thought, I'm watching this. I'm like, this guy's gone. This guy's going to get away. He's already back in the Congo. There was something weird about this guy and his story. There's no way they're catching him. Well, they caught him and he gave up. He gave up without a fight, which is interesting because remember the first time that he was cornered by police in the driveway after shooting 2 Minnesota politicians, he engaged the cops in gunfire. But now this time, no, nothing. Comes out, hands up. Shocking. So here's what we're looking for. This guy better not Epstein. This guy better not Epstein. This guy has a story to tell. This guy, we're going to find what is this Congo connection? Why is he flying to Washington, D.C.? Now, I'm not a QAnon guy. You guys know this. I'm not big on false flag and this guy is a Manchurian candidate. No. But geez Louise, man, if there was ever somebody that we should actually start talking about that and looking into it, it's this guy. This guy seems like a pure Manchurian candidate. And I know this is out of character for me, right? This isn't the kind of shit that I talk about here, but I'm sorry. You can't just go down. And I'm not getting any of this from crazy fucking Reddit threads or QAnon groups. No, this is all real mainstream information about this guy's life that I've been able to pull together over the last couple of days. And I'm sitting here wondering, what the hell is this guy? He's either serious deep spook, like this is kind of like what a CIA spook is, or he's like a Lee Harvey Oswald type. He's a dude who already nutty and somehow got on the radar of some CIA handler types, and they went, okay, this fucking whack job, he could be useful in the future. Maybe we can. So what is this? Is this like some attempt at starting a civil war? You know, what was this thing? And then did you see that he texted before he did these things? He texted his wife and children, "That is going to war today." What a self-righteous punk. Daddy's going to war? You're walking into people's house at 4:00 in the morning and gunning them down like a gutless coward. That's not war. You're murdering people. You are ambush murdering people. Daddy's going to war. All right, there you go. That's my thoughts. This guy better not Epstein. This guy better see trial. We better hear from him. We better hear his whole story. Because I am telling you, there is something weird about all of the shit. All the shit in his life makes sense. It paints a picture of exactly, you know, this kind of guy, this kind of loser, this kind of guy. Life didn't work out the way he wanted. He's got big dreams. He's always hustling. Everything makes sense. And then he's flying to Washington and working for a security firm in the Congo for 3 years. I ain't gullible, folks. That doesn't work. Those two things are like, wait, that's weird. All right, so how did this happen? How did you go to the Congo? Oh, yeah, I met a guy. All right, let's talk about the guy you met. Who's this guy that you met that suddenly has you going to the Congo? I'm telling you, man, something about this whole story isn't kosher. And it was a horrifying story from the beginning. You know, when you first hear about it, you're like, oh, my God. And then I saw somebody, by the way, you know how I hate the divisive stuff. So I saw somebody like, they were saying this only happens to Democrats. I'm like, didn't they gun Scalise down at a softball game? Didn't some crazy lefty like kill a bunch of or try to kill a bunch of Republican softball players? I mean, I know Gabby Gifford's tragic. This certainly tragic. But I mean, you know, they shot Trump's ear. That's got to count for something. They shot Trump's ear. Scalise took a bunch, right? I'm trying to think, is there anybody else? Not really at the lower level. Rand Paul got tackled, but I think that was over. That was neighbor stuff. That wasn't really politics stuff. All right, whatever. Anyway, all right. So there you go. That's all I got on Boltler. Let's see, what else can I mention? All right, very quickly, the MyPillow guy. He lost a court case today. He owes somebody like millions of dollars. The voting thing. You know, remember when he was like, these voting machines are run by people who are whatever. And then he said all kinds of terrible shit about the people who run the voting. Yeah, well, that's slander. And he lost in court today. So the MyPillow guy, he's now whining. He's going to be whining. He's going to be whining on his, doesn't he own one of these like streaming platforms that's all Trump stuff where he can just ask stupid Trump people for money and they'll all just give him money. So I imagine the Mike Lindell telethon will be going on now on that thing. Frank Talk. That's what it is. It's called Frank Talk. It's all going to be about, I need money. Speaking of, I need money. So there you go. I need money. You can tip the show. Look at my thing. Why did my screen in the back changed? How long ago did that thing change? I don't like that. All right, Mike Lindell took one in the nuts today. Matthew Perry's doctor took one in the nuts yesterday. Matthew Perry's doctor, the guy that prescribed him all of the ketamine, he's in some trouble. He's pled guilty. All right, so he's going to take a sentencing. He's going to go to jail. What's he going to get? Yeah, he's going to go to jail. This is the doctor, if you're familiar with the Matthew Perry situation, this is the doctor who sent text messages to the other doctors saying shit like, gee, I wonder how much money we can get out of this moron. Like they knew that they were prescribing him ketamine and they were charging him like 10 times what anybody else would get charged because Matthew Perry was willing to pay it. These doctors are monsters. It says doctor who supplied Matthew Perry with ketamine faces 40 years behind bars for Friends star's death. What's this guy's name? Charging longtime addict Perry premium prices for the ketamine, LA-based Dr. Placencia? What's his first name? One of the doctors who supplied Matthew Perry with ketamine in the Friends actor's final days in 2023 is set to plead guilty to multiple counts of distributing the anesthetic. Charged in Perry's overdose in late October, Dr. Salvador Placencia has made a plea deal with the Department of Justice. As the charges of 4 counts of distribution of ketamine stand right now, the Santa Monica physician is facing a maximum sentence of 40 years behind bars. He could also end up paying over $1 million in fines. Placencia's trial was on the court calendar. All right, whatever, there you go. So he's not going to need a trial because he's already pled guilty. There you go. Sentencing. How many years will he get? I hope he gets a lot of years. He's a piece of garbage. R. Kelly is in the news today as well. R. Kelly, lawyers for R. Kelly are alleging the singer overdosed last week on medication that was given to him by a prison guard. R. Kelly's attorney is saying that a prison guard tried to kill R. Kelly by over-prescribing him his medication. It says here, in a June 17th filing obtained by USA Today, Kelly's lawyer claims that after being placed in solitary confinement, I wonder what R. Kelly did to be in solitary confinement. After being placed in solitary confinement, prison staff provided R. Kelly an overdose quantity of medication. This was back on June 12th. Let's see. His hospitalization came on Friday, June 13th. So on June 12th, they gave him too many drugs. And on Friday, June 13th, he was hospitalized. He was taken from the prison and taken to Duke University Hospital. It's apparently pretty serious. It says here, the lawyers say leading up to the alleged overdose, Kelly was placed in solitary confinement. This was on June 10th, against his will. Well, yeah. He was placed in, Your Honor, he was placed in solitary confinement against his will. Who the fuck goes willingly into solitary confinement? Yeah. He was against his will, Your Honor. Okay, what did he do? You know, that's like, before you get me to go, against his will. Oh, why'd they do that? Like, I'm going to ask, what did he do? Lawyer said that he was put in solitary against his will, as opposed to all the people who go willingly. In the motion, Kelly's team claimed 3 Bureau of Prison officials allegedly devised a plot to kill him. Then, in the early morning hours of June 13th, remember, he was given the medication at night on June 12th. In the early morning hours of June 13th, Kelly woke up feeling faint and dizzy. He started to see black spots in his vision. Kelly then tried to get up but fell to the ground. He crawled to the cell door. He crawled to the door of the cell and then lost consciousness. On-site prison medical staff could not help him, so he was transported to Duke University Hospital. All right, there you go. R. Kelly. R. Kelly's having a rough go of it. All right, let's wrap it up with this. So, we used to, on the old Pugs and Kelly show, we used to do this thing we used to call the Manliest Man Award, where it's just, we would give an award to somebody in the news who just did something that was so manly. So, and by the way, it was also women. Women could win the Manliest Man Award. Absolutely. Women would do something cool. They would win the Manliest Man Award. Well, I just don't think that there has ever been somebody who was more deserving of the Manliest Man Award. I've never seen anything like this. Let's watch this together, shall we? This is going to take us back now to Friday. Was it Friday? This is the Air India crash. Remember the Air India plane that crashed? So this is the lone survivor. You've heard about the lone survivor. This was a plane that was jam-packed with people. And this guy was sitting in his 11A. This dude was sitting in 11A. Everybody dies. This dude just unbuckles his seatbelt and gets up and walks out of the wreckage. He's home. Like, he didn't even need to be hospitalized. He was probably totally freaked out. So let's watch this. This is, boy, we are setting the bar really high for future manliest men. Check this out. All right, here we go. This is the guy who just walked out of the plane crash. All right. So this plane has just crashed into this building. This is all flames and all that stuff. Pretty sure this is him. You see this guy right here? See this guy in the white? Pretty sure he just got off the plane. He's the lone survivor on this plane. Let's watch this again. Here we go. Here he comes. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, there he is. Holy shit. These people are like, hey, you walking out of there? Were you in there? Like, you just came walking out of there. Nobody else came walking out of there. That's an inferno. A plane has just crashed into a building. Oh, jeez. You got to see this, really? Thing just completely lost lift. Oh my God. All right. There it is. That's the aftermath. He's in the hospital. Ramesh, who sat in seat 11A on the doomed flight, described the final moments of the flight before it went down.
क्योंकि थोड़ा टाइम लेके तो मेरे को लगा था कि मैं भी मरने वाला हूँ, लेकिन जब मेरी आँख खुल के मैं देखा ना तो मुझे लगा मैं जिंदा हूँ, तो मैंने ट्राई किया, जब मेरी सीट से वो मेरी बेल्ट निकाला मैंने. I can't read it. I don't know what he's saying. I don't know. Anyway, there you have it. That's the manliest man. Seriously? God. That's got to do something to you, right? Like, if you're normal, like if you're a normal person, that's got to radically affect the way you live your life. If you are the lone survivor of something like that, I mean, you've been given a second chance. All of those people died. All of those people died, and somehow you're the one that emerges. You've got to live for all of those people. You got to be good. You've got to be awesome. You got to cure cancer. You got to do something to justify the dumb fucking luck that you had, that you were in seat 11A. Everybody's dead around him. He's still sitting in his seat, and he just unsnapped his seatbelt and just walked through the dark smoke. Crazy. That is just insane. Oh, sorry. I just did something stupid. Nope. Hold on. What the hell? All right. Sorry about that. I was trying to do something. All right, guys, that's going to be it. All right. So I'm done here. So we're not going to do a show tomorrow. probably maybe do a show on Thursday. Not sure about Friday. We're in a bit of a summer schedule, but trust me, in the next, I'm going to start doing these every day again. So we'll be all right. I do appreciate you bearing with me. Just need a little bit of a break, but I'm glad we could come together and talk about all of these crazy things that have happened over the last couple of days. Tip the show if you can. That'd be great. Appreciate you. What is that? That looks different. Why is my screen different? My screen looks different. What did I do? Oh, now it's all too big. What happened here? Is the chat not? Oh my God. Nope. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Appreciate you. Come on out tonight for trivia. Tonight, trivia at the Back Nine 4060 Beltline Road there in Addison, the Back Nine. Trivia tonight, every Tuesday night. I appreciate you. Tip the show if you can. If not, that's okay. We're fine. I'll talk to you in a few days, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Like, follow, subscribe. You'll know. You'll know when I'm going to do something. All right. Bye, everybody.